All right, let's talk about something truly huge that's happening in India's research world. One nation, one subscription. You might hear it called ONOS, and trust me, it's a game changer. Seriously, just think about that for a second. What if you had one master key that could unlock every major research paper, every top academic journal for an entire nation? That is the incredibly powerful idea at the heart of this whole thing. So what we're really looking at here is a complete transformation. We're moving from a past that was, frankly, scattered and really unequal into a future where knowledge is centralized and pretty much anyone can get their hands on it. It's about leveling the playing field, for real. But you know, to really get why ONOS is such a big deal, we've got to take a step back and look at what things were like before. Let's dive into the problem that actually sparked this whole revolution. Okay, so picture this. The old system was, well, a bit of a mess. You had all these different government bodies, science, tech, defense, you name it, all buying their own separate subscriptions, often to the very same journals. It led to a crazy amount of duplicated costs and inefficient spending. But the worst part? If you were at a smaller college or a less funded university, you were just locked out. Innovation was being choked off simply because of cost. And that's exactly where the ONOS solution comes in. Now, this isn't just some small patch or a minor fix. Nope. This is a complete reimagination of how India deals with access to knowledge, and it's tied directly to this bigger vision of a self-reliant India. So what is it exactly? Think of it like this. Instead of thousands of separate, expensive deals, the government makes one giant deal for the whole country. This one subscription covers journals from over 30 of the world's biggest academic publishers. And just like that, bam, every single government-funded university, college, and research lab gets access. The era of unequal access is over. And look, this is way more than just making life easier for academics. This is a major strategic play. It directly feeds into India's national vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, that idea of a self-reliant India, and the really ambitious goal of becoming a global knowledge superpower by 2047. So yeah, this is a big, big deal on a national level. So let's get into the impact, because the scale of this initiative is just mind-boggling. We are literally talking about unlocking an entire universe of research for millions and millions of people. Get a load of this number, 1.8 crore. For those of you who don't use the Indian numbering system, that's 18 million. 18 million students, faculty members, and researchers who now have the world's leading research right at their fingertips. That isn't just access, it's the democratization of knowledge on an epic scale. The change is just profound. Before, access was a total lottery depending on where you studied. Now, it's equitable. Before, costs were through the roof and duplicated. Now, they're optimized and cost-effective. But the most important thing is that opportunity is no longer a privilege for the well-funded few. It's been thrown wide open for everyone. And the real-world benefits here are huge. With access to all the big names in publishing, that massive resource gap between the top-tier institutes and smaller colleges is finally starting to close. All of a sudden, a student in a remote town has the exact same digital library as someone at a premier national lab. Just think about the new kinds of collaborations that could spark. Okay, this all sounds amazing in theory, right? But how does it actually work on the ground? You know, how do you get connected? Let's walk through the practical side of things. This whole thing actually came together pretty fast. The vision was first announced back in August 2022, and by January 2025, Phase 1 was up and running, giving people access. This first 3-year phase is going to run until 2027, really making sure the foundation is rock solid for the future. For institutions, getting on board is a really straightforward 3-step process. First, you register on the ONOS portal using your AISHE code, which is basically a national ID for educational institutions. Second, you configure your campus IP addresses for easy on-site use. And that's it, you're ready to start exploring. Access is seamless on campus, and it also works remotely through a secure login system called Einfed. Okay, this is probably one of the biggest questions people have, so let's just tackle it head on. Who exactly can get in on this program?
Well, the eligibility is pretty broad. It covers all higher education and R&D institutions that get funding from either the central government or a state government. The one really important thing to note, though, is that for right now, in this initial phase, private institutions are not included.
All right, here's another great practical question. What happens if a researcher needs some super specific journal that isn't part of the current package? Are they just out of luck? No, not at all. They actually built a feedback loop right into the system. Institutions can just submit a request through the ONOS portal, and that journal will get evaluated for inclusion down the road. It's a dynamic system that's designed to evolve with what researchers actually need.
So, let's pull all this together. ONOS is so much more than just a giant nationwide subscription service. It's really the engine for a whole new era of innovation, and it's set to power India's future as a knowledge superpower. At the end of the day, ONOS is a total game changer. And at its heart, it's about one thing: equity. It's a promise that a researcher's bright idea or a student's curiosity will never, ever be stopped just because their institution couldn't afford access to a journal. So, what does this all mean for you? Well, if you're a faculty member or a researcher, it's time to dive in and start exploring. If you're part of an institution, the mission is clear. Make sure you're registered and configured. And if you're a student, this is an absolutely golden opportunity. Use it. Push the limits on your projects. Get curious. And that leaves us with one final incredible question. For the very first time, the doors to global knowledge have been thrown wide open for an entire generation. What new ideas, what new breakthroughs, what incredible things are they going to discover? The possibilities are, well, they're limitless. If you want to get all the official details, or if you need to get started, you can head right over to the ONOS website. Thanks for joining us for this explainer. We'll see you next time.